There are tons of documentation resources that you can buy, and not just from me, um, Dr. Melissa McCaffrey of QA Prep, but also from other people from online, from Amazon, even. So, how do you know what is useful and what to buy? Hi, as I just mentioned, I'm Dr. Melissa McCaffrey of QA Prep and author of the upcoming book, Stress Free Documentation for Mental Health Therapists. And I am going to explain in this video what is the difference between the different courses, groups, books that I have available, and what to consider when you're thinking about when you want to purchase some help for documentation. All right, so let's dig in. Right now, the Paperwork Catch Up Group, which is a group that I run twice a year for therapists who are behind in their paperwork, that is open for registration. And there is a link in the description. Whenever that happens, I get questions on what's the difference between the group and the course that you have available, and do I need both, and what do I get in the group, etc. So let's dig in. So the Paperwork Catch Up Group is a group for people who are behind in their progress notes. So if that does not describe you, then right away, that's not the best fit. If you are a therapist, or even a mental health clinician, we've had psychiatric nurse practitioners join as well, and we've had mental health clinicians from a whole variety of fields and settings join the group. If you are someone who is behind in your paperwork, the group will help you catch up, and it will give you the foundation you need to build good habits so that you don't continue the cycle of falling behind and catching up, falling behind and catching up. So the group is literally a group. It is kind of like an accountability and support group. And that is where the biggest transformation happens really consistently. We've had almost 500 people go through that program so far. And they always say that, the weekly meetings where we do weekly check-ins and everyone is simply sharing and checking in, that is where the transformation happens. Now, I do understand that when you're behind in notes, there are many, many reasons for that. Many things lead to that. One of those things could be that you don't feel confident in your progress notes. You don't really know what to write, and therefore it takes a long time and you avoid them. And because of that, yes, in the group every single week, and it's 14 weeks, I offer a tip or a strategy on progress notes or documentation in general. So I do think that while people need support and they need help in creating the actual catch-up plan, which we start off with, the other thing is, you need some guidance around what to put in a progress note. So there are weekly tips, and I do give people access to resources and lots of resources actually, including like a treatment plan template and progress notes that are examples. I also have 2 weeks out of the 14 that are we don't do sharing, and instead we have people volunteer to have their notes reviewed. So people can do this anonymously, or they can do it, most people actually don't do it anonymously, because at that point you've already kind of known the other people in your group and feel comfortable. And so people sign up, submit their progress notes, and then I read them, and literally have them up on screen. We look at the template, we look at what's in the notes, and people get feedback on their notes. So between the strategies and resources and then literally getting feedback on your progress notes, it gives enough of the training aspect that people feel comfortable moving forward and working on their catch-up plan. It gives you the resources you need to actually catch up. So how is that different from, for example, the course that I have, Stress-Free Documentation for Mental Health Clinicians? So the course is a literal course. It is meant to be a course that could be incorporated into graduate school programs, that could be a good supplement for an internship or practicum program. So it is an actual course. And, I will be offering, for example, learning objectives to go with that, and learning assessments, et cetera. And so if you have had no or little training in documentation, which is most of us in the mental health field. And it's not that you're behind in your progress notes, it's more that you are curious or just confused about what goes in a note, how to do a treatment plan, how to even set up your intake paperwork. Maybe you've been a therapist for a while, working for a while, but more in like a community mental health setting. And now you are moving on to having your own practice. And you're like, how do I even set up my intake paperwork? What goes in all of my documentation? So that course has all of that information. So that is for someone who really just wants a course on documentation. There is a community aspect there. So, one thing that I offer to anyone who purchases any of these programs, so any of my courses, the old paperwork packet we had, the catch up group, is what I call Get Notes Done Days. And that is one Friday a month. We meet for the full day and we co work together and get notes done. So people show up and we get whatever documentation done. And I run a timer based on the Pomodoro method so that we're regularly like being productive and then taking breaks, being productive, taking breaks. And people have the opportunity to connect with one another there. And there are quite a few groups that meet outside of that time because people have connected while they have been in a Get Notes Done day and said, hey, I want to meet next week. Is anyone up for it? Or I'm going to meet tomorrow and finish up this task I'm working on. Does anyone want to join me? So that's been really cool to see that there is a community, even within this online course that is a recorded course that you can purchase at any time, but you can still have that community through attending a Get Notes Done day. So hopefully that helps kind of suss out what I think is the biggest question, which is like, do I need the catch-up group or do I need the course? Do some people get both? Absolutely. And it could be beneficial to have both. We touch on things like intake and treatment planning in the catch-up group, but it's mostly focused on notes. And so if, like I said, you're in that scenario where maybe you're starting up your practice or you want more information on all of the things, then the course might be a better fit for you. Now, how does this play into the book? This whole book that's going live. So, Stress-Free Documentation for Mental Health Therapists is the book that's coming out October 22nd. I'm so excited about it. This book has been years in the works, and the book is essentially the same information you get in the course at a much lower price. So, yes, it is not going to be earth-shatteringly different. And yes, the course is significantly more of an investment. Now, a book has great resources, and the resources are the same in the course and the book. You are getting the same progress note template, the same treatment plan templates, the same examples. They are purposely all the same so that I am consistent in the feedback and resources I'm giving you. But if you do not have the money for the course, the book is something that's affordable for anyone. So I want to make sure that I have something that is a great resource that is still open and accessible to anyone who needs it. So I get what it's like to be a grad student, to be starting your own business, to be out of school, not making as much money while you get experience. So you can buy the book and do the work more on your own and still get the exact same training, teaching that I'm giving in the course. Now, realistically, for most people, a course is going to be more engaging, more interesting, and I'm kind of spoon feeding the information to you a little bit more. So you don't have to go through and read a chapter. I start off by telling you different ways in which to even start the course based on the questions you might have. And you don't get access to the Get Notes Done days, which are, like I said, monthly continuous co-working sessions if you have purchased the book. So those are the big differences between the book and the course. And you're going to benefit from getting any of this stuff and using it. That is how you benefit. Whatever it is you choose to buy, do it because you are in a place where you can use it. If you're not ready to use it, I would say go ahead and hold off. If you are behind in your notes, but you're not ready to commit to a program, then maybe you wait for the next round next year. We do it every 6 months. If you are behind in your notes and you've looked at this program and considered it for months or even years, like some people tell me, and you've been behind that whole time, then maybe it's time to sign up and just say, this is what I'm going to commit myself to. But these are like stress-free documentation for mental health clinicians is a course. So I don't think you need to take the entire course. I don't think you need to sign up and watch the whole thing. It's, going to be hours of watching trainings. I don't think you need to do it in a week. But do know, like, if you purchase it, make a commitment to use it for whatever questions you have. And you can always reach out to us if you have questions about, like, this is the need I have. What should I get, or what should I buy? Let me also at the end here mention other documentation resources. So there are other courses by other documentation experts. So I know them. I talk about them. Some of you have already worked with them, and you've worked with me, and you tell us both about it. There's no competition here. I think that sometimes having both resources and getting training from both people or multiple people can be really helpful. The other documentation experts that I know and talk with and am friendly with tend to focus more on insurance. I do focus on insurance and medical necessity, but it is not the number one priority. For me, it is more about realistic practice management and time management, and making things work for you on an individual level, and doing that through a law and ethics lens. So that is more where I start. And then I throw in medical necessity as needed because people need it. Whereas I think the other documentation gurus out there kind of start from the place of medical necessity and incorporate the other aspects about documentation because they can't really be separated. And so that's why we all talk about the same thing, but come from a slightly different lens. So check out what resources you think are useful, and take what serves you from each of those things, and you will find something useful from it. I would also say, do that to a point and then be done. Even with my own resources, I could endlessly improve these things and change these things. And I try not to because I don't want to confuse people. I always tell people, make some of these changes, take these courses, buy all the templates from all of us, incorporate it, use it for a couple weeks, make sure that it works for you, tweak it once, and then be done. Don't let yourself tweak it for another year because it's good enough. If you've done all of that, you have done a good job. It is good enough. And you could adjust these things endlessly and try to improve them endlessly. There's no need. Just go ahead, get all the resources, spend all that time, do it once, and then use it. And then make adjustments once a year. Schedule once a year to do it. And that's really all you need. And all of us have free resources, and follow our free resources after that. All right. Hopefully that helps clear things up. It's been great to talk to you all, and I hope to see you at a future Get Notes Done Day or even in the paperwork catch-up group. Until then, happy writing.